Welcome back to, what's the name of the show?
The Cougar Chronicle.
The Cougar Chronicle. Seriously, we're so happy to have you here. It's our very first show.
Yes, and there's so much. It was like Christmas last night. It feels, you couldn't sleep, so excited. What am I going to wear? Is my hair going to look right? You know, just having these all important kind of things I want to do. But I'm so
going to be a long show.
Here.
Yeah.
It could be. It could be.
Well, we're so glad you joined us. Seriously, and we have two awesome guests today.
Oh my gosh, another great setup. Mr. Taylor Lipinski, our new athletic director, and Ms. Molly McDougal is our new associate athletic director. Taylor is new to the district, as am I. Molly was a familiar face.
Yes.
You've seen her on the sidelines as our athletic trainer, and we conned her or talked her or tried to mind tricked her into stepping into this new role. And I will tell you that I've been, as a former coach, both at the high school, the college, and the professional level, seen a lot of great administrators. I am massively impressed with these folks, and I know you're going to be too, and I am so excited to highlight the work they're doing.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you're both here. And you know, Molly, you're not new to me. Someone heard you were coming on the show, and she called me and said, oh my gosh, you have no idea what Molly did for my son and how she supported all the athletes, and it's just so wonderful to have you both.
Thank you guys for having us.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
Yeah. So the athletic director is called the AD,
Yeah.
right? Oftentimes. That's a big job here at Kearsarge.
I would say, depends how you look at it. I'm surrounded by a lot of people that really make my job much more simple than it needs to be. I think just surrounding myself with either the coaches or the athletes, they really highlight the best that we have within the community and the different things that they do.
And you know, before we get started, can we talk a little bit about your background? Because I think a lot of folks don't know that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So I started out in education. I was a teacher, a wellness teacher for 4 years, teaching out in Rhode Island, California, and Connecticut. And Connecticut's kind of my home base where my family is, so it's about 2.5 hours from the district.
You're a New England guy?
I'm a New England guy,
Yeah.
born and bred, and made my way back. And it's nice to be able to set up and kind of have my own roots elsewhere in New England, close enough to family to where I could reach out at any point in time and they'd be there, and then close enough if they needed me, I could be there as well. But last few years, I worked at Little League International as the assistant regional director of the East region. It's a really interesting job to be able to describe and kind of working with a volunteer-based organization, and then working to create what would end up being the regional and World Series tournaments down in Williamsport.
Those are huge.
Oh, it's fantastic.
They're so
it's
fun.
about
Yeah.
30, 40,000 people in a small little environment get to work with the MLB and creating the MLB Classic, seeing a bunch of kids just enjoying the passion that they really have in baseball, and being able to create that and make connections is really lifelong experiences and memories I'll be able to take away from it. So.
Translates well, doesn't it, John?
Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
Again,
enthusiasm.
all about relationships.
Right.
And all about those kind of connections.
Certainly.
And how do we put systems in place that really serve. You look at this, you know, we talk about kids here, but when we talk about Little League World Series, we're talking about young people. And how do we really have a big impact
Make
on
those
that?
connections. Right, exactly.
Yeah, and transparently, I wanted to that I was still I was in that transition, so not officially the superintendent.
Right.
When they were doing the interviewing with Taylor, they asked if I wanted to be part of it. I'm like, again, trust you guys. You're going to do those things. And then when he got hired, Michael Bissett, our assistant superintendent, and Charles Langero, high school principal. I'm like, okay, who did you get? And they're like, you were going to love him. And
He was like jumping up and down telling me about you guys coming on the show today.
I was so
This is
pumped.
going to be great.
Just the team, just the team, and that's the
Yes.
thing is, I cannot stress this enough when we talk about this, and hopefully you two will agree. We've got some of the greatest adults, just not just professionals, but just caring, wonderful adults in the right places, taking care of our programs and our kids, and it's just. Again, I joke about, you know, I'm Baloo and Tigger. If they had a baby, hello, you have your superintendent. But they're just amazing human beings, and that's what I love so much about this job.
Well, you know, and Molly, I was saying off camera that someone heard we were going to be talking today, and she was so excited because she said what you did for her family, and namely for her children, it was just so wonderful. So this is a new role for you too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big step. Not one that I had actually really considered until a lot of people in the community reached out and asked if I was applying for his job, which was not happening. But I figured I didn't have a say when it came to the assistant one. So
Right.
It's been a really fun step to take.
Learning curve for you guys?
100%. I think a big part of it and the freedom that we've kind of been able to and kind of granted with the transition to be able to make it work between the high school and middle school. There's a learning curve for both of us, and a big part of that is the trust that we've been able to have working together, and then the trust that we have with the staff that we have in place too. But like I said.
So from a generalized standpoint, you know, we the old school, you hear athletic director, and obviously people go, well, what does that do? In a nutshell, what is your job? What does that encapsulate?
You have to wear a lot of hats on a day in, day out basis. And I think that's kind of what is the most intriguing part of the role. I think when you look at athletics, it's really the space that is most publicly viewed. You'll never see a parent in a classroom watching kids. You won't see really any other environment outside of maybe some of the other co-curriculars where the community has a visual representation of kind of what is going on. So in our role and how I look at it, trying to create an effective and comfortable and enjoyable environment for the community to be able to see and for the student athletes to be able to portray themselves in what is, in my eyes, kind of an art. And sports are a fascinating way for kids to be able to express themselves, I think. There's very few environments where you have that passion to represent your community. And so my role, I just try to create as good of an environment for them to be able to do so successfully.
And represent, they do, because this,
100%.
you know, there's, you always go to football games and basketball games and swim meets. Whenever there's a sporting event, if I can get there, I do.
Yes.
And that's a huge responsibility,
No.
too, for the students, you know, for your department.
Certainly.
You know, what do you think, Molly? How does, is that a little scary, or?
It is. You know, it's one of the things that translated really well from my last position because it was just me covering all of those sports at the same time. So that's
Right.
the one thing that I haven't been as worried about or stressed about is that it's the usual schedule in athletics. You have to be there and support the kids, and that's what we're happy to do.
That's
And the
huge.
time commitment, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to attend a number of sporting events, and you can't go to an event and not see one of these faces,
Right.
if not both of them there.
Right.
And that's the piece that I think folks don't
It's huge.
realize is that it's more than just what happens from the start of the game to the end of the game. The infrastructure, the field setup, you know, making sure that the markers are on the field, that the field's chalked, that the buses have to go the right place. I mean, there's so many other things behind the scenes.
Safety issues,
that
the EMS
all of
personnel,
it,
it's
you know,
huge.
everything. And then, you know, is there electricity at the snack shack? And if not, what do we got to do about that? And do we need internet? Are the locker rooms clean? I mean, the job of it is so enormous and it's so important because without these behind the scenes folks, you know, nobody pays attention. No, everybody wants to eat the sausage, but not everybody really knows how the sausage is made.
Exactly.
And so
Or wants
to
to
have
know
those
how it's
folks that
made.
do those kind of
Exactly.
things, and it really just, and even in some of the longest, and I know that you guys have worked some long days because I've seen you at the end of some of that stuff, not without a smile,
Right.
with the enthusiasm, and again, it is all about the kids. And I think that's the thing that I appreciate so much about both of you, is you keep that first and foremost. And I would be remiss to say this, and from what I can tell, both of you have a lot of fun with each other along the way.
We certainly do. We certainly
Smile
do.
and laugh,
We
right?
need to.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, so it's November, and the season's underway. And what have you found with the students? Have there been any surprises? And I don't care about. I really don't. I care about who's winning, who's losing. Have the students surprised you in any way so far?
I think maybe a better question for me, because I'm new to the situation, I just think there's so much energy, and the community and the kids are fantastic, and I could highlight so many different athletes from so many different programs, but I wouldn't be doing the justice that it needs. I think as we're kind of pushing forward and these student athletes have so many different potential distractions, it's just a time and place in society where athletics really has such a pivotal role for most of them. I think they do a great job of highlighting each other, supporting each other, really doing the things that we care about as teammates, and doing so in a way that's effective. So I could pick and choose specific athletes to be able to highlight, but all the programs are doing a fantastic job to be able to support and promote our values on a daily basis.
Is it hard to teach students to support each other if you find they're not in any capacity? Is that a tough skill to teach, or is that something that's just innate?
I think as a coach, it's something that's always in the back of your mind, and it's kind of your moral compass as you're progressing through the season. You look at some of those lifelong skills that you're working to enact and create within the environment of sports, and it's difficult to kind of rein it in, and always you lose track at some points in the season from the competitive side of things. And even as a coach, I think about myself and reflecting my time as a coach, and I almost lost track. And then once you kind of center yourself again and then really focus on those values that are important to you and to the kids, it kind of makes everything else go away in a way.
We have a lot of different teams here. I mean, some that would surprise you. I mean, we have so many sports clubs and so many opportunities for students to get involved.
We could go into that too. I think going into the position, I even remember from my interview process, I talked about bass fishing. I knew nothing about what the sport would entail and the rules and things along
that's
those lines.
huge.
But that's a learning curve, and we figure it out as time goes on.
Mountain biking.
Yeah.
We didn't have any hills enough to have mountain biking in Missouri, so we come on here and we have a team.
Isn't that awesome?
You know,
Equestrian team. I mean, you know, we have
the
such
skiing, all of that.
It's so diverse.
We do.
It
And I
really
think the
is.
participation levels at both the secondary schools that we have are really unheard of. I would say over 50% at the high school and over 60%, I believe, at the middle school.
Isn't that
Really?
amazing?
And it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I would say with those numbers and the offerings that we have, you're hard pressed to see other schools within the States or even New England that really have similar numbers in regards to varsity sports that they offer. And again, any opportunity we have to take kids from the different distractions that they could be dealing with and the stuff that they go and deal with at home,
Sure.
it's so widespread across the community within Kearsarge. It's needed. And to be honest, that might be the highlight of their day, those 2 hours that they're away in that practice.
You know, I think we have about less than 2 minutes left, which is ridiculous because we could sit and talk to you all day about this.
Flew by,
But-
absolutely flew by.
But what do you think the message, what both of you, very quick, you know, a message you'd like to give to the students this year who are looking to or hoping to participate in a sport?
We just want them to come out and have fun with whatever they want to do. We're going to make all of those opportunities happen for them. So
Awesome.
come
I
on out.
love that. What do you think, Taylor?
I think the message is just be yourself out there. And you'll find different ways to connect and grow, whether it be with other student athletes or within the sport itself. But as she said, have fun out there. But we'll do our job to try to promote and push the different initiatives that we're promoting on a daily basis. And I think with the new mission and vision within athletics, it's a great time to be able to highlight different things. So just do what you've been doing.
I can see why you're jumping up and down.
I know,
Awesome.
it's because, again, you mentioned this earlier. They talked about relationships, they talked about values, they talked about experiences. They didn't talk about wins and losses because those things are going to be the final part of it. And so we're just so glad that you guys are here.
We appreciate that. We do.
You got that. You got me putting my hand on your arm
Yeah,
saying,
I-
okay, wrap it up,
Well, I
John,
know,
wrap it up.
I could talk about this group forever. I just am
I
so
know, I could
excited
too.
and proud.
You know, thank you so much for joining us.
We appreciate you having us on.
We'll
Yeah.
see you, you know, on the field. We'll see you on the, you know, in the pool. We'll
You
see you,
will.
you name it. And I know you guys will be there.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
today,
having us.
Taylor.
We
Appreciate
appreciate
it.
that.
What a great interview, John.
Oh, absolutely wonderful. Thank you guys so much for being here and for what you do every day for our kids.
We appreciate
So
that.
glad. This is the
Cougar Chronicle.
And coming up,
We've got Assistant Superintendent Michael Bissett, who's going to be talking about our portrait of an educator. And I know a topic that just stresses you out. Talk about artificial intelligence in
gosh.
education.
oh gosh, okay, stay with us. We'll be back.
It'll be fine.